Alright guys, so we're doing some more live trading here, taking a look at GBP, JPY, and I actually just entered into a position. We've got stops on the trade, we've got an entry here, and I wanted to discuss a little bit as to why I took this trade. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sit back, we're going to let this trade run, and you'll be able to see if I'm able to make money or if we take a stop on this trade. But let's analyze the chart here for a second. So if we just apply some simple moving averages real quick, you can see GJ has been in a runner's market. We've seen this thing, very, very strong recently. But we've actually just had recently a chance, in my view, or my perspective, I'm looking at this recent dip as a potential to continue the bullish trend. Now, again, what we've got here is we've just got a couple simple moving averages showing us that the momentum here of this chart is pretty strong to the upside, and we've come back down to a level of support that I like. So we've drawn in our levels of support, and again, we're going to use price action here to make this trade here as we let it roll out. The idea behind this trade is, okay, we've got a level here where price seems to be supported by buyers. We had what was a level of resistance becoming a level of support. After price came down to this zone, I decided, hey, you know what? I'm thinking I would like to go with the trend and just using price action, make a move here. Now, we need to talk a little bit about targets on this trade, because what you'll notice is I don't actually have a strict take profit in mind. Now, despite not having an order to take profit, what I do have is a couple levels in mind that I'm going to be looking at for potential targets. Okay, so first stop here on the trade is going to be a move back to the swing high right here. So again, what we're going to do is we're going to start using market structure where we can find clues for where price may want to head back up to if this trend continues. And there's several levels that we want to keep in mind here. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly mark them and then we'll discuss this. So if this trend continues, right, we have a very, very good probability that if the trend wants to continue, it's going to probably want to retest these levels here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first one being the start to this little pullback here. So if we do see this market come back into play on the long side, a first stop using market structure would be a target right around here. And so I'm not necessarily going to pull off my trade if we get up to that point, but what I will do is psychologically that will be a point in which I'll go ahead and start trailing this stop loss aggressively. Okay, so I made trail stops to break even a little bit before that, but once we start breaking out of this area right around 162.27, that will be the point where if we're able to get up there, I'll go ahead and start trailing this stop loss, and that's how I'm going to manage the trade. I'm going to use structure to my advantage to try and trail this stop and to see if I can catch a runner on GJ. My whole point here is not to catch, a couple $100. My goal ideally would be to see if this trend wants to continue, see if we can get a couple $1,000 possibly out of this move. Now, that's a bit ambitious, and I'm not going to try and forecast the future, but what we are going to do is we're just going to go with the trend. We're going with the flow here. You've also arguably got a little bit of a trend line here, kind of supporting price, which is another reason why, again, I'm bullish here. But then this is not the full picture. So that's the technical side of the trade. We've got the stop loss below structure, by the way, which we have another level of support here. So we have support. If that level breaks, I'm pretty much not interested anymore, and I'll take a small loss on the account. At this point, I've got 89,000 units open with a pretty tight stop loss, nothing crazy. So in terms of the trade, I shared this trade inside of our private Discord channel. Every trade I take goes right in here. So you can see I'm risking 55 pips here, give or take, on GBP, JPY. My entry is there. My stop loss called out to members, and here's the reasoning. I bought GJ. We just talked a little bit about the trend structure here, looking to the bullish side. And then a little bit of hawkishness from the Bank of England recently has me attracted to buying the pound. So I am taking a bet here on the pound. I'm willing to go with the pound there. And with recent rate hikes, that sort of thing, things look pretty good for the pound. So I'm willing to take that stab. Another thing that we could talk about here briefly is retail sentiment. So we'll take a look at retail sentiment here for a moment. Okay, so we're taking a look at retail sentiment, and check this out. What you can see is that 80% of retail traders are actually short on this market, meaning that as this thing has trended higher, there's been a aggressive sell pressure by retail traders. And what we know, unfortunately, about most retail traders is that they lose money. And so if they're on that side of the trade, I am much more interested in being on the long side. I'm looking actually to go against retail sentiment. This is a component usually of my trading strategy, is to go against the herd when it comes to retail traders, as they tend to lose money. So what we'll do now is we're going to go ahead and pause the video. We'll go back here and kind of just see where we're at with the trade. What I'll do is I'll pause the video, and once things get moving with price, maybe we need to make an action or we stop out of the trade, I'll come back and give you guys a short update. All right, guys, and we are all out of the trade. Unfortunately, this thing did not hold the spot that we were looking at. You can see, although this level was a pretty good spot of demand, we actually broke out pretty clean through both of these levels. We had some news that came into effect. A little bit of an unexpected thing from the Russia-Ukraine situation caused some volatility, and ultimately had a little bit of an effect where it took us out of our trade for about a $400 loss. This is nothing terrible, this is nothing into the world, and I want to make a point here that even though, we took a trade and the trade didn't work out, this is not like, oh, the account is ruined. This is a small loss on a relatively larger trading sized account. So you put that all into perspective, the point I want to show this is that this is going to happen to all of us. There's going to be trades where, it sets up, it has good criteria for an entry. This met my criteria, and I've had many trades just like this one that ultimately became really great winners. But sometimes there's just some variance in your trading where not every trade is going to be a winner. And even though something sets up for you and it looks good for you based on your strategy that you've backtested and it works overall, it still closes out for a loss. And sometimes that's just going to happen. A bad trade, in my view, is not necessarily a trade that has a losing result. A bad trade is one where you don't stick to your plan, you don't have a plan, you don't, manage your risk, all that sort of stuff. In this case, I would call this a good trade because we managed our risk. We knew where to get out based on our strategy. We had a strategy going into this. We knew how this trade was going to end, even if it wasn't, either way, whether this was a winning trade or a losing trade, we had an idea of how it was going to end. So that's the point, right? This is a trade that didn't work out. Unfortunately, my entry was a bit early, and it doesn't mean that I can't find a potentially secondary entry to try again on pound yen here going forward. So with that said, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this live video of me trading, then make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next time. What's up, guys? Thanks for watching today's video. There are more videos available on our channel here and here, so go ahead and click into that for some more free trading content. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you back next time.